It's a myth that women doesn't choose to lead. The choice is actually shaped by environment, opportunity, and cost. They do not shy away, they are not welcome. It's not the lack of ambition, it's the lack of access. So there have been lots of reports showing that women are actually equally ambitious. 86% of the women, in compared with the men, wanted to be promoted. And lack of representation doesn't simply mean that is a lack of ambition. So when we see the global snapshot, women still remain underrepresented in every stage of corporate pipeline. And despite decades of progress, still women holds less than 10% of the top CEO level. And only 30% of the senior management positions are held by women globally. And when I was going through it, I have lots and lots of papers about the women in health professional. So this is the data of 2017 from US, and 50% are in medical. Entry level is not a problem. It's actually the leadership level where there is a big problem. 31.3% is the plastic surgery residents. Only 14.7% are the orthopedic surgery, and 6% is orthopedic surgeons. This is the data from US, not in Asia, so it might be even less in Asia. So although women consist 70% of the health workforce, they only occupy 20%, 25% of the leadership positions. Only 23.4% are the ASSH member, and only 14% of them are active. And we can see when we go into the faculty level, only 9% are professors, 12% are department chairs, and only 11% are deans. And this is a USA data, not even in Asia. So it will take nearly 50 years to achieve the gender parity, and with the current growth of 2% per year, it will take 217 years for orthopedic surgery to have that parity. So why does it appear like women shy away from the leadership role? Number one barrier, social conditioning and stereotype. These are my mentors. Look at me, how do I look in front of them? I look like this. I totally don't fit in that stereotype picture. So girls are often praised to be nice and agreeable, and boys are encouraged to be assertive. Assertive women are considered as too aggressive. And if they are very less aggressive, then they are considered as less confident. So it's a very big challenge, at least for me, to find the perfect level of assertiveness, not being aggressive and also not being too shy. Barrier number two, structural bias. There are lots and lots of unconscious biasness in hiring and promotion. I was hiring a medical officer in my department, and I was clearly told that I shouldn't be hiring women. So women are most of the time excluded in informal opportunities. Most of the decisions are done while guys go out for smoking or drinking. So mentorship, we really lack a lot of women mentors in our life. Most of my mentors are men. So we really cannot be what we cannot see. And I realize that the male kind of leadership doesn't hold true for women leaders. And we do not know how to retain our feminine qualities while still leading the organization. Barrier number four, organizational climate. It's very difficult to feel the only one in the room. And so I was in one of the programs just last month, and it was kind of a women program, and there were a few men speakers. They feel very awkward when they enter the room, when there are lots of women, they actually didn't want to enter. It has been like that for me all the time. So there are lots of microaggression, micro-invalidations, micro-insults, and micro-assaults all the time. And it has been proven by the papers, 92.4% of the orthopedic surgeons and 68.8% of the plastic trainee experienced microaggression in their workplace at some point, which leads to lower self-esteem and confidence. It leads to the anxiety and depression, higher burnout, and sometimes it might be suicidal. And of course, there are lots of sexual harassment that we don't talk about. Another barrier, work-life balance. There is double burden of career and caregiving at the same time. There is definitely unequal home responsibilities. And somehow we feel like leadership means that we need to be available 24/7, which is not possible at all. Inflexible work hours for women and inability to relocate. Barrier number 5, confidence versus competence gap. So there was written in a paper that men apply when they meet 60% of the qualifications, while women wait till they meet 100%. And women always feel short of qualities. The imposter syndrome is much prevalent in women. And they always feel like they need more credential, more training, more experience to reach there. So why do we need, actually why are we talking about this? Why do we need female leaders? Because it has the diversity, it includes diversity. There is a better decision making, innovations, outcomes, because the perspective about the women and men are different. We hold the different values. And when we add up into the organization, I think it adds up lots of different values. Women bring lots of different areas of essential qualities, like they are good listeners, they are good followers, they are very good collaborators and a very good team maker. And there have been lots of papers saying the women board, when there is a women board directors, there is a higher financial performance. So what should we do? We need to create and nurture a network. So for us, we women should be open-minded about our network. It doesn't need to be selective, and it doesn't have to predict the benefit. So we need to be mentor, and we need to find women mentors. We need to be more clear and specific about what we really want and be strategic. We need to really understand the unwritten rules of the organization. And I think I also keep on thinking that I should add more humor while I work, because I think we lack humor. And most importantly, believe in ourselves. For the stakeholders, they need to recognize that there is a big challenge that women are facing throughout their career. There need to be a strong will to support and amplify the work. And they need to provide leadership deliberately, until and unless they will never be able to come to the power. So resources should be succeeded and skills and credibility to advance. Like this program, I was in Pioneering Women in Reconstructive Surgery, which was focused training program for women. So if we don't do it, what happened? Now men doesn't need women and women doesn't need men anymore. So there are late marriages, late childbirth, complicated deliveries because of the late childbirth. There are more and more unmarried people. The population is decreasing. There is a higher divorce rate. More and more there are single parent. Because of that, people are having mental problem, not just women. Men are also having mental problem because it's very difficult, because all the women have to go to the work for longer hours. And we're leading to the selfish and lonely world. So we need to challenge this stereotype and unconscious bias. We need to build supportive and workplace policies. We need to promote mentoring and sponsorship for women and normalize this diverse leadership style. When women rise, we will all rise. Let's work to create an environment where everyone's leadership potential is fully realized. Thank you.